welcome to Power Hour. I am Veronica Valentino, coming to you from snowy Philadelphia. Yes, I am snowed in. We got 8 inches of snow, and it's very, very cold here. And I'm here with my co-host, Miss Renee Rand, coming to you from sunny Las Vegas.
Sunny Las Vegas, yes.
This evening, we are so excited to follow up on our topic from last week. So if you're new here, we're so thrilled you took the time out of your schedule to join us. Our community is all about empowerment, encouragement, and elevation. So jump in, say hello. Don't be shy. We can't wait to get to know you. At this time, I am, be sure to like, share, follow, and subscribe our link. And that link is below. Our topic is it's not willpower, why weight loss gets harder over time. It's going to be a continuation, and we're excited to welcome back our special guest, Mr. Robert Ferguson.
Good to be here.
Thank you. He is a clinical nutritionist, a researcher, best-selling author, and international speaker. You know what? He also currently serves on national boards, including Presidential Task Force on Obesity and the Health and Product Advisory Board for Zinzino. So over the next 30 plus minutes, however long it takes us, Robert's going to talk with us about the 8-week fat loss challenge. Woohoo! Starting today. And to learn more about that 8-week fat loss challenge, we have that running across the bottom on our scroll, and it will be posted in our chat. So without further ado, I want to bring in my co-host to say a few words, Miss Renee Rand.
Well, welcome everybody. We're sure excited to be here today and to continue our discussion that we started last week. And we also just want you to know, please invite and share these shows so that we can help as many women out there as we possibly can. And, menopause is not as mysterious as it was maybe 10 years ago. It's been way brought to the forefront the past 12 months. However, it is still mysterious because the education isn't out there. So it gives us an opportunity to share a lot more education. And of course, having great guests like Robert Ferguson on today and other guests in the future that we're lining up. We're also planning on doing a daily live coming up soon, and we're excited about that. So just join us. We're going to be full of surprises and sharing lots of wonderful, not only wisdom, but some prizes and goodies and things that we want to share with you as well. So thanks, Veronica.
You're welcome, Renee. So we're going to jump right into this real quick, and we're going to bring on our special guest, Mr. Robert Ferguson. Yay!
Hello, Veronica and Renee. How are both of you doing today?
Awesome and amazing.
All right. It's funny every time when I come on here, and maybe it's just me, but I feel like it'd be better if I could see you guys closer, because the bulk of our screen is always the balance well, which is great.
I know. I'm trying to. Oh boy. Okay, let's see.
But I always think about people who are watching us on their phone. You know what I mean?
Right. How small that little picture is. Yes.
So then they see us as we're like a dime, and the phone is balance well, which is great.
I'm just trying to. Okay, here we go. Now we got it.
There you go.
And so I'm assuming there's no snow in Las Vegas for Renee.
No snow in Las Vegas. In fact, the dogs were sunbathing on the AstroTurf this morning. So nice. Yeah, they're liking the sun.
Nice. And but prayers out your way, because I know that's a lot of snow out in the East Coast, Veronica.
Yeah, wow, it was. We're freezing our tootsies off here.
So is it mostly about the cold, or is it mostly about the snow?
Oh,
you know what? I'm good with the cold. I like the cold because I know I can always get warm. Mm-hmm. Just throw on another extra blanket. I just, it's the snow that's a hindrance.
You got like 8 inches last night, right?
Yeah, 8 inches Sunday into Monday. Snow. Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sure people want to hear us talk about weight loss.
Yeah.
So,
the topic of the season right now. Yes.
That I would open up by saying, in doing this for 31 years, every year is the same.
Yeah.
Um, everybody say they want to lose weight. Some people start to lose weight,
Mm,
but at the end of the year, kind of what we were talking about last week, they're back at where they once didn't want to be.
mhm.
And what's interesting about that is that as time has gone by, I've watched it become more and more difficult for people to lose the weight, as we were talking about.
Yeah.
And what we're learning in the 8-week challenge, and what you're going to learn every day, is part of it is not our fault. Is that it's this thing called insulin resistance that is 100% real. I
Mhm.
mean, it's so real. Okay, here's my opening statement.
All right.
That you could eat extremely what you call healthy. You could have the calories down really low. But when a hormone called insulin is elevated and you're experiencing something called hyperinsulinemia, even when the calories are low, you can't lose the weight.
Wow.
It's not going to come off because insulin's elevated. And so with all this focus on blood sugar and carbs being the problem, I believe, even in our time together, I could help people understand why they're not able to drop the weight, what they can do to improve their situation so the weight comes off.
Mhm.
And then once they learn that, they can be in a position, if they accept it. So I must pause there. If they accept their wanted or their unwanted reality, then they don't have to be concerned with gaining the weight back.
Okay.
But that first step is, can you accept the unwanted reality? And that's where many people get stuck.
Yeah, I would agree that's true, Robert. You know, I always diet through December. It's my birthday month, but I always feel like I'm 30 pounds ahead of the game if I make it through December eating healthy. I'm not 30 pounds heavier coming January. So I always feel like it's a big win for me, but it doesn't matter. It's a new year and a new you, and people are looking to get on a better path. It's we're already in the third week of January.
Mm.
So time to get going and kick its butt in gear, and let's make this all happen.
Amen. Okay.
Amen.
So now I mentioned, and this is for those who are watching us live. If you're tuning in, I said accept unwanted reality. So
Right.
you guys want to start there, because like
Yes.
when I was in Vegas and I did a seminar, I mentioned that, and then about 20 minutes went by, and I asked the crowd, which was a nice sized crowd. I said, no one asked me what I meant by accepting unwanted reality,
I want to know.
and that was 20 minutes ago. And I said that it was very important, but yet no one asked me like what it was, and not one person knew what it was. So I'm like, if I stressed that it was important, why didn't anyone ask me about it 20 minutes ago? And then we had the conversation, and it was enlightening. And many people felt like, wow, thank you, because that really helped us see where we personally can get in our own way in losing weight.
Mm. I had a
All
great
right,
day
so let's
one.
go for it.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
So in psychology, we have what we call wanted, like something that you want,
Mhm.
and then unwanted, things that you don't want. But they're both realities, right? Someone could get married and be married to someone they really don't like. And years can go by and they're in a marriage, and for whatever reasons, they're not going to end that marriage.
Mm.
That is their reality, and it's a unwanted reality.
Mm.
And you can live a nice, healthy life in an unwanted reality, right? Like if I lose my limbs, I don't want that to be my reality, but the reality is that's my reality.
Mm.
So an unwanted reality, last example would be someone eating shrimp and they're allergic to it. So every time they eat shrimp, their face swells up, their lip swells up, but they love shrimp. So whenever they're around shrimp, they eat it, and then they can't go anywhere because their face swells up. that person is not accepting their unwanted reality,
Mm.
right? Because they eat it knowing that it's not going to be good for them. And so those are the people who don't accept. And then they stay in this battle, almost like being on a hamster on a hamster wheel. And every year they're in the same predicament with their weight and with other areas of their life that are unwanted, but yet they haven't accepted that as their reality. Because once you accept where you are, and if insulin resistance is real, then you can do something about it. So does all that make sense?
Yep.
Makes
Absolutely.
sense.
Okay. So let's say that we get to a place where you say, okay, Robert's talking about this insulin resistance. Okay, I need clarity on what that is.
Yes.
And once then I can maybe accept it. Right. So to start, about 8 years ago, Chapel Hill University, North Carolina, they came out with a study and they reported that 88% of all adults are living with insulin resistance. Then a few years ago, Tufts University came out with their report and they upped it. It's 93% of adults
Wow.
have insulin resistance. So then you go, okay, well, why? Number one, my doctor's not talking about it. I'm starting to hear it a little bit. You hear it on the news, you hear it like in a magazine, you're sitting somewhere reading, but you still don't really know what it is. You think that has something to do with diabetics. Maybe that's a diabetic thing or blood sugar. And so here's the gist of it. And then feel free to ask as many questions so that people get a better idea of what insulin resistance is. Okay, so insulin resistance is we're talking about your cells in your body. Liver cells, fat cells, brain cells, every cell in your body. And all of those cells have responsibilities. Now, insulin resistance, for the most part, gets its name because of the relationship between insulin and diabetics. Because when there's sugar floating around in your blood, that's not healthy for it to stay there and to mount up. So our bodies are naturally designed to get the sugar out of the blood and put it somewhere, which most of the time is inside of the cells. Okay. Then the sugar can't cause damage.
Right.
When the cells become resistant and say that we're not going to respond to insulin, so insulin comes to, hey, I got some sugar to put inside, and the cell is like, nope, I'm not opening up the door. Now the cells are resistant to insulin. Mm-hmm. And when that's the case and insulin is elevated, because you have to start pushing out more and more insulin to kind of break into the cell. Whenever insulin is circulating, the fat cells will not release fat because the door doesn't open. And then fat cannot be burned and leave your body. So as long as insulin is present, you will not release and burn fat.
Okay. So since these are all in our cells, and of course, Veronica and I and you are on balance oil, and we get all new cells about every 120 days. Mm-hmm. Once we get those new cells, does that change the situation with insulin resistance?
No.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, it can if you're making some changes to how you eat, right? So like balanced oil would help anyone who is insulin resistant because it helps with signaling, cell signaling, which is what takes place from insulin to the fat cell. And you have that membrane, right? And when it's rigid, then that means your insulin resistance is even worse. So yes, you can. Every 120 days, you have an opportunity, because remember, all those new cells that replace the ones that die off, those are stem cells.
Okay.
Right. So one dies, the stem cell sitting back waiting, it just replaces it. And you have an opportunity over time to get those cells to become more responsive.
Okay, great.
So you can. Okay. And I've seen many people reverse their insulin resistance.
Okay.
But think of all the people who aren't taking balance oil.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The likelihood is reduced significantly. Now, I've helped people reverse their type 2 or their insulin resistance over time without balanced oil. But I'm excited because with balanced oil, we're able to speed up the process. So
I'm
you
excited
can.
too.
Yeah. So, and you want that to happen, right? And so you want your cells to respond. So how do we do that? Well, exercise is going to help. The more you exercise, the more muscle you have, the less pressure is put on the cells to take in the sugar, because your muscle cells can do it without insulin. And then you're in a position where your pancreas is not working as hard. And so insulin can be flatline, because when you trigger insulin, it goes up. And as long as it's up, you can't release body fat.
Okay.
But on the average person, it comes back down in about 3 hours. That's when you don't have insulin resistance.
Okay.
If you have insulin resistance, it goes up, the insulin, and instead of coming back down in 3 hours, it'll probably come down maybe 4 hours, depending on what you eat. So weight loss ultimately is, how can I get my insulin levels down and keep them down and get them back down as fast as possible? If I do that and I'm not overindulging, then I'm going to lose body fat. And that's how it works.
That's
So-
amazing.
I'm curious, in the 6-day detox, which I've done, I mean, how is that preparing one to get ready for your 8-week challenge? Because I kind of stayed with the flow of things after the 6-day detox, you know, and getting ready. I knew I was going to do the 8-week challenge. So how is that preparing me? Because isn't it once you talk about insulin resistance, right away, I think of diabetic or diabetes, or, you know, that everything that has to do with the diabetic. And I mean, I even check fasting blood sugar. I'm not diabetic, and I just checked my fasting blood sugar this morning because I didn't have an opportunity to do it yesterday. So mine was at 100. But isn't it when you wake up in the morning that your insulin is raised, because doesn't your liver get rid of the insulin or the sugar?
No, insulin. Well, remember, there's two things, right? We're talking about. So your liver holds a certain amount of sugar. And so your liver helps to keep you in balance, will kind of spit out or secrete some sugar if you're not eating anything. Right? So that's sugar. But insulin normally is a little elevated when you first wake up.
Okay.
But it comes right back down.
Right.
Right. So it's there because it's an anabolic hormone. It does a lot of things, and it controls how energy is utilized in all of our cells. So at the end of the day, there's two things to learn, and this will be good for Renee. And I think the light bulb moment is about to happen.
She's got her Lola who's given a light bulb moment.
Yes.
Let's say you eat every 2 to 3 hours, right? And I taught that for many years. And what happened was, you can lose weight if you're not insulin resistant, eating every 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
And the idea is that you're eating to keep your blood sugar level balanced, right? So I'm not eating too much where my sugar levels go up so high. And then I'm eating soon enough so my blood sugar levels don't drop.
Right.
But that's a lifestyle of focusing on sugar. Well, every time you eat, you trigger insulin.
Okay.
Every time. So even though you're eating every 2 to 3 hours and you're looking at your blood sugar and you're like, I'm doing good. Maybe you have a continuous glucose monitor. Maybe you're checking it regularly. You feel pretty good. The weight is coming off. Well, behind the scenes, you have insulin being elevated, and over 5, 10, 15 years, it becomes what they call hyperinsulinemia, and you now become insulin resistant.
Wow.
So even though you were doing what you thought was everything the right way, behind the scenes, the blind spot, you actually cause yourself to have insulin resistance.
Wow.
And I felt horrible when I discovered that in 2010.
Mm.
And since that, I've been on a mission to have better clarity and to get to a place where I could explain this better to help people. And that's one of the things that we're doing in the challenge, right?
Yep.
Right.
And we did something unique, Renee, where I came up with a quick and easy quiz to find out if you have insulin resistance. And if you do, at what level do you have it?
Awesome.
That alone is that opportunity to accept an unwanted reality, because once you know, then you can do something about it.
Right.
And then we put people on a plan where you eat certain foods in combinations, Renee, to cause less insulin. We're not looking at sugar.
Okay. That's a way different way of thinking for me.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And it's not just you, it's a lot of people, because we look at health, a big part of it, especially with most our physicians, they're looking through the lens of sugar.
Right.
And most people, when you hear them talk about nutrition, oh, well, no, I just eat low glycemic. Everything is about sugar. They're not talking about insulin.
Yeah.
Right. So if I told you there was a food that you could eat and people eat it all the time, and it triggers the largest amount of insulin, and instead of the insulin coming back down in 3 hours, it can stay up for 10 hours, which means you can't lose weight for 10 hours.
Wow.
You're storing fat for 10 hours. And think about it. In 10 hours, you're probably going to snack again, which is going to bump up that insulin even more. And that food is called pizza, for instance. So anything that's rich in fat, specifically saturated fat, and carbs, like with bread, that combination is a metabolic disaster.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you can't ever eat pizza again. But if you start thinking about, what am I eating that's high in fat and high in carbs? Bagel and cream cheese, pastry, deep fried French fries, hamburger. Like, you start going down the list and you start going, okay, if I go to the gas station and I want to get a sandwich, and I did this the other day, I walked in and I took a little video of it. I was like, man, somebody's about to get on the road. They get some gas. They want to get something to eat. Someone's a construction worker. They didn't want to wake up the family at home. They got up. They stopped at the little pantry or gas station, little mini mart, if you will, to get something to eat. Everything in there was high in fat and carbs.
Yep.
Everything. The pastries, the sandwiches, everything that was processed, everything. So if Tufts University says 93%, they're right.
Yeah.
And people don't even know it. They have no clue. And what's crazy, right? And I wrote an article on this, is you go, okay, well, I know someone who's taking a GLP-1 drug and they're losing weight. Yeah, but what kind of weight? See, there's fat weight and there's water and what they call skeletal muscle, but you don't want to lose that kind of weight.
No.
Well, what happens is the food stays in your intestinal tract for like 12 to 24 hours. Well, if the food sits, and normally the food will be digested, absorbed in like 2 to 4 hours. But if I'm on a drug, that's 12 to 24 hours. Well, what's happening for 12 to 24 hours with food just sitting inside of me? Well, a lot of the nutrients to you in a healthy place, right? It's kind of like putting chicken breasts in the oven for 24 hours compared to an hour.
Wow.
It's just not good. It's just the quality's not going to be there. Okay. But 12 to 24 hours, then you go, well, what else is happening? Oh, insulin's being spiked.
Yeah.
So your metabolic health worsens even though you're losing weight. So in 3, 4, 5 years, a lot of these people are going to have a whole bunch of metabolic challenges. And I'll give you an example. And they're not reporting this.
Yeah.
People on the GLP-1 drugs, what we're seeing is increase in more people being diagnosed with fatty liver.
Wow. Wow. Boom. I love the fact that you can just eat normal food and it's just a matter of the way you marry it together. That was like one of my biggest things that I really like. You know, I don't use sugar substitutes, or I just, if I feel I have an aftertaste in something, oh, I'll never touch it again. So I stick with honey. You know, but I love the fact that you can eat, you know, chicken and fish and steak and a potato and, you know, and vegetables, fruits and vegetables. Um, I have a question as far as fruits. Are all fruits like, I mean, I know berries are very healthy for you, but when you, I know that there are certain fruits that are your fast carbs, and I like, I am not a fan of bananas. I do not like them. Um, I haven't had a banana. And let me see, my daughter's 41 years. So I'm like, oh, I don't like bananas. Oh, that was not good. Anyway, I kind of forgot where I was going with this, but
We're talking about the different kinds of fruit, which fruits are better than
yeah,
other fruits.
yeah. Basically, what you know, fruits that, I mean, I love berries and everything. Can you share a little bit on, you know, the fruits with the fast carbs with the fruits and
Okay,
sugars and it?
so we have a methodology, a way of eating, right? So it's a system. And in the system, what Veronica is referring to is that we put foods in different categories. So you have, when it's carbohydrates, we have what they call fast carbs and we have slow carbs. They're both great. It's just one is called a fast carb and one's a slow carb. And this comes in handy when you start pairing foods together to make what we call a fat burning meal. And it's very simple, just so you guys know. It's really simple. So it's not like, oh, well, I got to carry a book around. I got it. No, it's really simple. And so she's asking certain fruits that are slow carb would include all your berries, blueberries, strawberry, raspberries, etc. Tomatoes, a fruit, so tomatoes would be in there. Apricots, when they're in season, are in there. And that's the bulk of like your fruits. Most other fruits are fast carbs, which is not bad. They're just fast, like an apple, a banana, an orange. But when you start combining outside of having a snack, then it actually comes in handy, right? So like oftentimes people will eat, let's say if I have an omelet in the morning, then I'll eat strawberries with that as a portion of my slow carb. And that's a win. But I could have a fast carb like melon, like we had honeydew and I had some cantaloupe yesterday. We had a little bit of watermelon, my daughter and I. And so that could be a great snack. But if I wanted to make it part of my meal, then I would eat everything in a way where I'm acknowledging the fruit as the fast carb. And one thing that you don't do if you want to optimize your ability to lose body fat is you don't have 2 full portions of a fast carb. So you wouldn't have a potato with melon or a potato with an apple. But you could have a potato with some berries because a fast carb goes well with the slow carb. And that's the simplicity of it.
Are grapes fast carbs?
Fast carbs, yep.
Oh, really? Okay. Wow.
Now, one thing about fruit is that fruit and many vegetables don't just have one type of sugar in them. So if insulin is what we're thinking about, right?
All right.
If I eat, let's say, a pear, I know that a pear is about 67% made up of fructose.
Right.
And the rest glucose, which is the sugar in the blood, basically. Well, fructose doesn't trigger insulin. So if I want to eat in a way where I don't have as much insulin, then fructose could be my friend.
Gotcha.
But notice I didn't say high fructose corn syrup.
Right.
Right.
Right,
This
right.
fructose. So there's various types of sugars, and they all relate differently in the body. But we keep it simple by just saying, you know what, fast carbs and slow carbs, eat them like this, and you're good.
Gotcha. So
You know what I mean? So then people don't
Yeah.
have to think.
Donna is asking us, so fast carbs are eaten with protein?
They can be if you're going to make a meal.
Okay.
Right. So I always refer to people, I say, am I eating a meal or am I just having a snack?
Okay.
Right. Because if you're going to have a meal, then you're going to build it. And we try to encourage people who aren't vegan, because if you're vegan, it's a little different, but we have something for vegans. But you can begin with, what's your protein? And even a vegan could say, I'm going to have tofu today.
Yeah.
But you get tired of eating tofu 3 meals a day. So they need options, and we help them with that.
Awesome. That's fabulous.
Okay. So now I'm going to share one other thing.
Yep.
So think about this, Renee. When you think of the human body, it's either in an inflammatory state or it's in an anti-inflammatory state. Depending on what you eat can put your body in an anti-inflammatory state. And if that's the case, it helps the insulin that goes up when you eat get back down more efficiently.
Quicker, right?
If it's in an inflammatory state, then it doesn't come down as fast. It can stay elevated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? So now we're like, okay, the food can trigger insulin. Am I in a inflammatory or pro-inflammatory state, or am I in an anti-inflammatory state? If I eat that, what's going to happen? Well, let's say you eat a big old steak that's got a good amount of saturated fat in it. Well, saturated fat with more fat, let's say butter on a potato, and with the carbs in the potato, the fast carb, is going to put your body in a inflamed
state, right?
And it's going to trigger a significant amount of insulin.
Yep.
Now, if you are someone who has what they call metabolic flexibility, which means you don't have insulin resistance, eating that potato with butter and that steak, you're good. Insulin's
Really?
gonna go up, it's going to come right back down.
I want that body.
Yes. Now, what a lot of people, and I hear this from women, they'll say, Robert, I'm telling you, when I was 31, I could just drop the weight.
Yeah.
And they go, I don't know, something happened when I turned 55. And I go, insulin resistance. You could drop the weight easier then because you didn't have insulin resistance.
Right.
But Tufts University, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, like, we know it from a clinical standpoint that people are living with insulin resistance. It's just not being addressed because the doctors don't know how to address it. There's no money in it for them. What are they going to do? Tell you to take this pill because you have insulin resistance? And insulin resistance drives many chronic conditions. Okay, now it's about to get fun.
Yeah.
Right? Because insulin resistance shares a coin with inflammation.
Right.
Inflammation in the body can drive you to become insulin resistant. And whenever there's insulin resistance, there's inflammation. So let's say you have a woman or a young girl that wants to have kids. She goes to the doctor. They say, hey, you have PCOS.
Yeah.
And they go, well, what's that mean? Well, it's going to be kind of tough, getting pregnant. So they put them on metformin.
Yeah.
And metformin is going to help bring the blood sugar down. They're treating the sugar. Well, insulin resistance is resistance on your ovaries. So they're not even treating the insulin resistance. They're just treating the blood sugar. And if you bring the blood sugar down, then that means less insulin is being circulated. So it then increases the likelihood of everything working out. But what they would do best is teach that person how to eat so they're not triggering as much insulin. Show them how to eat in a way where insulin is not elevated instead of putting them on metformin, and they'll lose some weight. They won't have the symptoms of insulin resistance on the ovaries, and it's a win-win.
Awesome.
So doctors are not talking about insulin resistance because they have no clue.
Most of them don't know. They're curious.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why you notice, if you go and look at your lab work,
Mm-hmm.
if we took 100 people and said, all right, everybody get your lab work from the last time you went to saw your doctor. They all come in. I said, okay, look on your lab work. And when you see your fasting glucose, raise your hand. Everybody, hand up, hand up, hand up, hand up. Okay, do you see your total cholesterol? Hand up, hand up, hand up, hand up. All right, find your fasting insulin.
Nope.
I don't think they did that. And every once in a while, some doctor will order it, because sometimes people have to pay out of pocket, or you have to have some other symptom that would then give them the okay to be able to bill it. So, and then because you can find out, you can get a pretty good idea if you have insulin resistance by getting your fasting insulin.
Yeah, but wouldn't this tell doctors so much more?
Yeah, but then it's putting you in a position where you don't have to go see them.
Yeah.
Then they lose money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like
Boy,
next time
it's so
you have a
scary.
doctor. Well, the next time you have a doctor on your show, and if they're a family physician, ask them this question, right? Say, like, how do you make money? I mean, you never really hear people ask doctors this question. Like, how do you get paid?
Mm.
Because most doctors, right, if they're family practice, they're set up where you got to go in. They have a staff,
Mm-hmm.
and they might make most of their money by billing insurance, right?
Yeah.
There's some that do a large amount of theirs with cash, but for the most part, they're going to get their money based on redeemables they're going to get back from insurance companies.
Yeah.
Well, the insurance companies tell them what they can bill.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the deal is that they can bill for a doctor visit.
Right.
Right. So they get, you pay your little copay, $5-10. You're like, woo, I don't know how they make money. Well, they bill for that doctor visit.
Right.
So now take the GLP-1 drug. Do they buy the GLP-1 drugs wholesale and then sell it retail? No, it doesn't work like that. What happens is you go in, your insurance is having to deal with, that's a big payment, but they got paid for that visit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if the average person who's on some type of medication goes to the doctor 3, maybe 4 times a year, right? Then you got people that go like once a year. Then you got people like me who rarely, if ever, goes. Like, I'm the worst thing for any doctor. Like, I'm not helping at all, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're a diabetic, or if you have to get refilled your prescription, you're going to have to go back in. Maybe it's going to be 3 months. Maybe it's going to be 6 months. Mm-hmm. But if you go in 3 times that year, that's 3 doctor visits. They're not necessarily making money on the prescription. They're making money on the visit. Mm-hmm. So when GLP-1s came out, you had to go in and get the shot once a week.
Yeah.
And you're not in there long. You go in, get your shot, you leave.
Yeah.
Once a week. So that's a doctor's visit. There's 52 weeks in a year. So instead of getting you in 3 times in a year, I get you in 52 times a year.
Wow.
Right? And then multiply that by 1,000, 4,000, 3,000 patients.
Yeah.
A lot of doctors became multimillionaires.
Yeah. Well. Yep. They just want you to be sick so they can make money, and always want to lose weight and be on a diet and insulin and diabetes medicine
and let me, I'm going to come to the rescue for the doctors. Okay. And you guys can challenge me on this, but I really don't think doctors and even the health care industry wants us to be sick. I really don't.
Yeah, I challenge you with that.
Okay. Now, and maybe it's gonna I'm gonna be a hypocrite a little bit. The reason why I would say this is because I do a lot of work in that space.
Yeah.
And I know that if an employee is healthier, the company saves money.
That's true. That's
Right?
true.
Yep.
And I know that in Medicaid, the state gives, or the government gives the state a certain amount of money. And with the state, they have a budget. They get with someone like United Healthcare or Aetna, and they become the administrator for the Medicaid. Let's say they give them $100 million for the year, and there's 200,000 people on Medicaid. They get 100 million. Now, if it costs 110 million, the insurance company loses 10 million that year. If they can get the people on Medicaid not to go to ER as much, get the kid off the asthma, you don't have to like go to the hospital as much, and they can get everything down with that Medicaid person, and they only spend 80 million, but they were given a budget of 100 million.
They get to pocket the rest.
That's
yes.
right. So Medicaid is to their benefit.
Condition than to their average person. I mean, their average person. I understand how it would work with Medicaid. I understand how it would work with that kind of a system. But the average person that doesn't like to go to the doctor, and that's not going to go to the doctor a lot, you know, getting them in there is the way they make money.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why putting people on prescriptions, you know, it's not necessarily that I want to get you sick, but I do want to get you to the point where you got to come in and get a refill. So this is where I sound like a hypocrite. There's a business model in them not becoming healthy,
right,
but not being so sick that they can't come in.
Right.
So find that middle.
That middle ground.
The ideal patient is someone who's on a statin, they're on blood pressure medication, they got to get a refill. Those are the people that drive the industry.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
I know.
Really sad. You know, I find too, like I was talking to one of my girlfriends up in Oregon, and we were going over her list of medications, and we realized that she's on 5 blood pressure medications, all given to her from different doctors. So she called her cardiologist, and he's actually turning everything over to the pharmacy that they use for cardiology, and they're going to manage all of her prescriptions, because obviously the one hand is not talking to the other hand, and she's being over medicated. Wow. And all of a sudden her high blood pressure she's getting dizzy, and she's getting low blood pressure from taking too much medication. So I think the management of it lots of times is really crucial to getting better answers as well.
Yes, I agree. Yep.
That is crazy. Wow. So Robert, if anybody wanted to, I know today was the kickoff for the 8-week fat loss challenge. Anybody want to get into this? How do they go about doing that?
You know what? I mean, you can. So we're on day 1 of the 8-week fat loss challenge as a group.
Okay.
But a person can join at any time. So you don't have to, this doesn't have to be your day 1. Your day 1 could be next Monday. It could be 3 Mondays after that. So for the rest of the year, and you'll see me promoted here and there, then I'll say, hey, there's a challenge. So then it's self-paced. But right now we have a good amount of people that are doing it. So it's fun because they're posting questions. You can see it real time. And so that's good. The energy is good. We'll do some lives throughout the challenge. Whereas when I do it later in the year, there's not lives. Everything is self-paced.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sounds great. I think I need to hop on there with you, Veronica.
You know what? You should do it. I think it's great. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun. Matter of fact, I got together with 3 other women. So we have to reach out to Robert and let him know we have a team now.
Nice.
So we got to send you our name over. So super
nice.
Excited we get Renee in there and have
All right, let's do it.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
it's
Do it.
always nice if you can have a team or other people. It helps with accountability,
Hmm.
and it keeps it more fun.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
I love that fact. Well, you know what? I really appreciate you coming here this evening, Robert. Renee, do you have anything else? Any last thoughts you would like to say to us, you and Lola over there?
Yeah, Lola and I are just miss Noisy today for some reason. I don't know what her thing is. But I just want to say thank you, Robert. You
Mm.
know, as always, we appreciate you've been my light bulb moment in many circumstances over the past 6 months. So I appreciate you totally. And just to let everyone that know that's watching this or rewatching this, there is a place for you to get your answers. When you have questions, there is always people that are available that really want to help. And this group is no different than that. We really want to be able to help you journey through the challenges that you're having. And as we get older, our challenges change. You know, we have all kinds of new things going on in our lives.
Hmm.
So let's pay attention to each other and the people around us, be kind to one another, and really work on making everything in our lives a better situation, a better place for all. And the world will be a better place.
Awesome.
Amen.
Yep. Amen. Thank you so much. Yes, Robert, I appreciate you as well. And you know what? We look forward to having you here with us. We love having you on as our guest speaker and going through, talking about, the new year, the new you, losing weight, especially fat loss. And I think it's bigger than, what what is it, that WW puts out there, Um, I really enjoyed this. And again, I love the fact that, it's now with a group and we're just taking one day at a time and you share that every day. So with that being said, Rob, you got any last thoughts?
Nope. I would say thank you both for giving me a chance to share information. I hope it made sense for those who are able to catch us live or catch the replay. But if they have questions, they can reach out to you both, myself. I mean, we're a family and we're all about helping to pay it forward and help as many people as possible live their best and healthiest life. So thank you both.
All right, you're welcome. Well, good night, everybody. We'll be back here the same place, same time next week with another amazing topic and another amazing guest. Have a great evening, everyone. Great afternoon. Take care.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye. All right, you good, Gene?